If you're cooking in any of these 5 fats, you're making a mistake that's costing you results. And most people don't even know they're doing it. Certain cooking fats that are marketed as healthy or safe are actually working against your biology every single time you use them. We're talking inflammation, gut damage, and worse. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 cooking fats you should avoid, explain the science behind why they're harmful, and give you the better alternatives that actually support your health instead of sabotaging it. And I saved the most controversial one for last. It's a fat that almost everyone assumes is healthy. And when I tell you what it is, you're probably not going to believe me. This first cooking fat, in my opinion, is the most toxic thing you can possibly consume. Well, that is aside from things like petrol, I guess. Now, they call it vegetable oil. And guys, look how healthy this is. You can see on their packaging, they are showing these bright and beautiful looking vegetables. This is done to trick people into thinking this is good for you. But as it turns out, there are actually 0 vegetables in vegetable oil. So then, what's actually in it? Well, first, factories take seeds, the most toxic part of a plant. They then crush them under high pressure and extract a small amount of oil. This oil is the lowest quality type of fat you can eat. It's largely polyunsaturated fat, a type of fat that humans have not historically eaten in large quantities. As a result, we aren't biologically adapted to consume this fat in large quantities. But here's where it gets worse. To squeeze out more oil, they use industrial solvents like hexane, a chemical derived from gasoline. Then the oil is degummed with acid, bleached with bleaching clay, and deodorized by blasting it with steam at up to 260 degrees Celsius. Every single one of these steps damages the fat molecules. This creates toxic byproducts like aldehydes and trans fats. Then it's bottled in plastic. This plastic, it leaches into it. Finally, you take it home and cook in it. And because these oils are so unstable under heat, this damages the oil even further. When you consume these oils, they don't just pass straight through you. They get absorbed into your blood, your organs, and into every cell in your body. A key analysis found that linoleic acid, which is one of these polyunsaturated fatty acids, has increased in US adults' fat tissue by over 133% from 1959 to 2008. And this directly mirrors the rise in seed oil consumption. The main problem with these fats is that once they're inside you, they don't just sit there. Your cell membranes are meant to be built from stable saturated and monounsaturated fats. But when you flood your body with polyunsaturated seed oils, these fragile, unstable fats get incorporated into the membrane structure. And because polyunsaturated fats are chemically unstable, they oxidize far more easily than these saturated fats do. So now your very own cells become a source of ongoing oxidative damage. This triggers chronic low-grade inflammation throughout your entire body. Now this inflammation, it's not inflammation you can feel. It's not like a swollen ankle. It's the kind that silently damages your blood vessels, your organs, and your DNA. For years, before you notice a single symptom. Before the year 1900, cancer rates were less than 5%. Obesity and diabetes were under 1%. And heart attacks, get this, they literally did not exist. Before 1912, there is 0 record of a heart attack ever occurring in the United States. And whenever I say this to people, they go, there's just no way. Of course heart attacks were happening, we didn't record them. However, even when you read the journals from the top physicians at the time, there is no mention of heart attacks. Then, in 1909, the United States got its first seed oil, Crisco. 3 years later, have a guess what happened. The first heart attack was recorded, and every disease rate since then has climbed. Today, heart disease kills over 900,000 Americans every single year. The lifetime risk of cancer is over 40%. Diabetes and obesity are approaching 50%. Mechanistically, it is very clear why seed oils are so damaging. And when we look at a timeline of disease, it matches up perfectly with seed oil consumption. So, that's the first cooking fat to avoid. All oils that come from a seed. This includes vegetable oil, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, and many, many others. But seed oils, they aren't the only thing in your kitchen that's working against you. This next one is something that millions of people use every single day, and it's arguably even more deceptive. Now, I want you to think about something for a second. If I told you there was a product in your fridge right now that was originally developed as a cheap industrial substitute and is essentially seed oils in disguise, would you still spread this thing on your food every single morning? I certainly would hope not. Well, that's exactly what margarine is. Margarine was invented in 1869 by a French chemist. It was created because Napoleon III needed a cheap fat to feed his army in lower classes. So this was a budget product from day one. Let's talk about how it's made. First, you start with seed oils. The same oils we just talked about. Soybean, canola, sunflower, corn. Any oil that comes from a seed. These oils are liquid at room temperature, but butter is solid. So to make these seed oils look and feel like butter, manufacturers put them through a process called hydrogenation. During hydrogenation, the oil is heated to high temperatures, and then hydrogen gas is forced through it using a metal catalyst. Typically, this catalyst is nickel. This process forcibly changes the molecular structure of the fat to make it solidify. But here's the problem. This process creates something called trans fats. Trans fats are widely considered to be the single worst type of fat someone can consume. Even the mainstream health organizations, they agree with this. Typically, the mainstream stance is, well, everything's fine in moderation. But when it comes to trans fats, these things, they're so toxic that even they agree. The FDA has stated that trans fats are not generally recognized as safe for human consumption. Even small amounts have been heavily linked to increased risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. In fact, research estimates that by simply eliminating trans fats from the food supply, it could eliminate tens of thousands of heart attacks per year in the United States alone. Now, many margarine manufacturers will say they've removed all trans fats from their products. And technically, that's partially true. Regulations have forced companies to reduce the amount of trans fats. But here's what most people don't know. In many countries, if a product contains less than 0.5 grams of trans fats per serving, the label is legally allowed to say that this product contains 0 grams of trans fats. And the trick they use here is they make the serving sizes very small. If a serving size is 5 grams, that means that up to 10% of this product could be trans fats. So you could be eating multiple servings of trans fats per day, whilst thinking that you're consuming absolutely none. On top of that, even the newer margarines that use different processing methods to avoid hydrogenation, they still start with the same base ingredient, seed oils. So you're still consuming oxidized polyunsaturated fats, which have all of the problems we just discussed. And then there's additives. Pick up almost any tub of margarine and look at the ingredients. You'll find emulsifiers, preservatives, artificial colors, artificial flavors, all of which do not belong in your body. Now let's compare that to real butter. One ingredient, cream. Well, maybe two, I guess some of them do have salt. Margarine has been marketed to the public as a heart-healthy alternative to butter. But the science that was used to justify this was the same anti-saturated fat science that came from the sugar industry, paying off researchers in the 1960s to blame saturated fat instead of sugar for the rise in disease. The irony with all of this is remarkable. They told us all to stop eating butter, a food humans have consumed for thousands of years, and instead to replace it with a factory-made product built from the very oils that are destroying everyone's health. So that's the second cooking fat to avoid. Margarine in all forms. If it looks like butter, but it ain't. It does not belong in your kitchen. Now the next fat on this list is one that might surprise you. It's marketed as a premium healthy cooking oil. You'll see it in almost every health food store. And a lot of people pay extra money for it, thinking they're making the smart choice. But the reality of this fat is far from this. Avocado oil has become one of the trendiest cooking oils on the market. It's everywhere. Every health influencer seems to recommend it. All of these clean eating brands are selling it. It's positioned as this premium, high quality fat that's perfect for cooking. But avocado oil has a massive problem that almost no one talks about. In 2020, researchers at the University of California published a study that tested the quality and purity of avocado oils sold in the US. Now what they found was shocking. Of the avocado oils tested, the vast majority, we're talking around 82%, were either rancid, oxidized, or adulterated with cheaper oils before they even reached the consumer. Some of these oils were labeled as, quote, pure avocado oil, but when the test results came back, it turned out they were actually mixed with soybean or sunflower oil. Seed oils, the very thing that is our enemy. Think about that for a second. You're paying a premium price for what you believe is a high quality cooking fat, and as it turns out, there's an extremely high chance you're getting seed oils but just in a nice fancy bottle. And the thing with this study is it's not just a one-off. This has been a known issue in the industry. Unlike olive oil, which at least has some regulatory oversight in certain countries, the avocado oil market is essentially the Wild West. There are very few standards, very little testing, and there's essentially zero enforcement. Companies can put nearly anything in the bottle and still call it avocado oil. But even if you manage to find a 100% pure, high quality avocado oil, there's still a fundamental issue. When you extract oil from any food, you concentrate certain compounds and remove the protective matrix that whole food provides. Whole avocados contain fiber, water, and various compounds that slow down absorption and oxidation. But when you strip all of this away and all you have left is the oil, it becomes very vulnerable to damage, especially under heat. Now, avocado oil does have a relatively high smoke point compared to some other plant oils. This is why people recommend it for cooking. But smoke point is not the whole story. A fat can begin oxidizing and producing harmful compounds well below its smoke point. What matters most is the stability of the fat, and that comes down to the composition of its fatty acids. Well, no one saw that. Avocado oil is about 70% monounsaturated fat. Now this is a moderately stable fat, but it still contains a relatively significant amount of polyunsaturated fat, roughly 13 to 15%. This is the type of fat that's most vulnerable to oxidization and heat damage. For contrast, beef tallow is typically less than 2% polyunsaturated fat. So with avocado oil, you have a fat that is very likely adulterated with seed oils, has minimal regulatory oversight, and even in its purest form, is less heat stable than animal fats. And the worst part is that there are people paying 2, sometimes 3 times the price they would for butter. So, that's the third cooking fat to avoid, avocado oil. Not only is the avocado oil market deeply untrustworthy, but also even the real thing still isn't the best option for cooking. Now, this next one is going to hit close to home for a lot of you, because many people think they're using a healthy cooking fat, when in reality they're being tricked by clever packaging. This next one is actually one that I personally find infuriating, because the whole reason people reach for butter in the first place is to avoid the garbage we've been talking about. But what most people don't realize is that the butter sitting in their fridge right now might not actually be butter. I'm talking about butter blends, butter spreads, and products that slap the word butter on the front of the packaging whilst being filled with ingredients that have absolutely nothing to do with real butter. Here's what happens. You go to the store, you see a product that says butter in big bold letters on the front. The packaging is yellow and gold. There's probably even a nice cute picture of a cow on it. Maybe some rolling green hills in the background. So you think, great, I'm buying butter, and you toss it in the cart without a second thought. But if you flip that thing over and actually read the ingredients, you'll see things like canola oil, palm oil, natural flavors, and a list of additives that's longer than the time it's taken for us to find a decent politician. This is not butter. It's a processed fat disguising itself as butter. And this isn't some rare thing. Many of the popular butter brands in supermarkets are actually butter blends. What they've actually done is take a small amount of real butter and mix it with cheaper plant-based oils. This is done to cut costs and increase their profit. So you're paying butter prices for what is essentially seed oil with a little bit of butter mixed in to make it taste somewhat like the real thing. Let me make all of this very simple for you. If the ingredients list contains any type of plant-based oil, whether it's canola, soybean, sunflower, palm or olive oil, it is not real butter. If it says spread or blend anywhere on the packaging, again, it's not real butter. If the ingredient list is longer than 2 items, it is almost certainly not real butter. Real butter should be 1, maybe 2 ingredients. That's it. If there's anything else on that label, put it back on the shelf. These fake butter products have all of the problems we've discussed with seed oils and margarine. This right here is certainly something you do not want to be putting in your body. Make sure whenever you're buying butter, you check the ingredients. When it comes to any food, the front of the package is pure marketing, but when you turn it over, you get to see the truth. So that's the 4th cooking fat to avoid. Any product that pretends to be butter but isn't. Read the labels and don't let the packaging fool you. Now, I saved this one for last because I know it's going to be the most controversial. When you first hear what I say, you might be shocked, but hear me out, because the science actually supports what I'm about to tell you. Now, before you type your mean comment and hurt my feelings, let me be clear about something. I'm not saying this oil is complete poison. It's nowhere near as bad as some of the other things on this list. It's not even close to being in the same category as seed oils. But what I am saying is that when it comes to cooking, this oil is not the ideal fat that most people think it is. And at least in my opinion, there are significantly better options. The oil I'm talking about is olive oil. So, what's the problem with olive oil, you might be wondering? Firstly, we have the problem with fraud. I'm telling you, there's some dodgy things going on in the olive oil industry. The olive oil industry actually has some of the highest rates of fraud in the world. Studies have repeatedly found that a large percentage of olive oils labeled as extra virgin don't actually meet that standard. Some of them are diluted with cheap seed oils. Others are made from lower grade olives and chemically processed to taste better. And many of them have been sitting on the shelves for so long, they've gone rancid before you even buy them. A major investigation by the University of Columbia found that roughly 69% of imported olive oils, labeled as extra virgin, failed to meet the standard in sensory and chemical testing. Nearly 10% were adulterated with cheaper refined oils. Here's a fun fact. There aren't enough olive trees in the world to produce the amount of olive oil that is sold each year. So when it comes to olive oil, the odds are stacked against you from the very start. Second, and this is a key point, even if you get a genuinely high quality extra virgin olive oil, it's still not the best for cooking. Olive oil is approximately 73% monounsaturated fat, 11% polyunsaturated fat, and about 14% saturated fat. This polyunsaturated fat content makes it much more susceptible to oxidation than a primarily saturated fat like tallow or ghee. Now I know people are going to say, but olive oil has a decent smoke point, and you'd be right in saying that. Yes, extra virgin olive oil's smoke point is around 190 to 210 degrees Celsius. It really depends on the quality. But, as I mentioned earlier, oxidation and the formful of these harmful aldehydes can occur well below the smoke point. A 2018 study published in Acta Scientific Nutritional Health tested the performance of various cooking oils under heat. What they found was that extra virgin olive oil, whilst more stable than seed oils, still produced significantly more polar compounds and oxidation byproducts than coconut oil and animal fats like ghee when heated for extended periods. Another study in food chemistry found that heating olive oil at just typical frying temperatures led to the degradation of its polyphenol content. People like to argue that this polyphenol content is what makes olive oil so great. As it turns out, the very compounds that supposedly make olive oil beneficial are actually destroyed when you cook it. You're essentially paying for the health benefits and then, I don't know, burning them off. Now again, I do want to make it very clear. I'm not saying olive oil is the worst thing you can eat. It's certainly the best thing that is on this list. What I am saying is that if you are going to have it, make sure you get a great source and don't heat it too high. So that's the fifth and final cooking fat to avoid. Low quality olive oil, especially when cooking at high temperatures. So now we know which 5 cooking fats we should be avoiding, but that leaves a question. What fats should we cook in? The answer is simple, and it's what all of our great grandparents already knew. High quality animal fats, specifically tallow, which is rendered beef fat along with real butter and ghee. Not only are they the most stable under heat, but they also contain the most nutrients. Nutrients are what our bodies use to build hormones, repair cells, and fuel every single biological process that keeps us alive and functioning at our very best. Not to mention, they are the primary cooking fat that humans have always used throughout our entire evolutionary history. The main type of fat humans consumed was animal fats. This is what makes them so great. They are the only fat that humans are biologically adapted to. The shift really is simple. Replace the plant oils in your kitchen with tallow, butter, or ghee. Your cells, your gut, and your overall health will thank you for it. Now, another great way to get in high quality animal fats is by eating lots of eggs. I actually eat 10 eggs every single day. In this video right here, I break down why I eat so many of them. Anyway, as always, great speaking with you, and I'll see you next time.